Richard Dale. Let's hear it for Richard Dale.
So I'm going to tell the story of all the times that Dorrit and I didn't meet. And all the ways we discovered those. We've been married 25 years this year. And by the history of it, it's lucky that we met at all. When we, as we were getting to know each other, we started to discover all the times that we hadn't met. So most obviously was the fact that Dorrit knew my stepsisters before I did. She had grown up around the corner from them, and her family and my stepfather's family were neighbors and vague friends, but she learned piano with the same piano teacher that my stepsisters did. And once I had become part of this blended family, every year I would go to the piano recital and listen to my stepsisters perform. And at the end of the piano recital, there was always somebody playing a very long, boring piece of classical music. And of course I found out years later that that person was Dorrit. There was a time I remember I was at the house of a friend. It was during my college years. There was a big party. I was telling jokes in a crowd. There was, a fair amount of raucous behavior, and at some stage my friend said to me, "Shh, you can't tell those kind of jokes. All the frummers are in the next room. You just can't tell that kind of joke." And I found out years later that Dorrit was one of the frummers in the next room. After Dorrit and I were dating, at some stage she was over at my house. She was looking through the books on my bookshelf, and a book of poetry caught her eye, and she pulled the book off the shelf, and she said, "Oh, look, I've written in this book." And sure enough, she had. It said, "To Mel, with love from Dorrit." And it was indeed her inscription to our friend Melanie, who had lent me the book, which Dorrit had given her a couple of years before. We found out also through a complicated series of discoveries that, in fact, her aunt and my aunt had been friends as children. There was a question because, as you all know, as many of you know, Dorrit's family name is Harvard. But my aunt said, "Well, I knew somebody called Della, and it seems to be the right person, but her name was Rosenberg." And the mystery was solved when we worked out that Dorrit's father had changed their family name from Rosenberg to the anglicized form of Harvered. And so, yes, oh. But it turned out that following that thread of finding that Dorrit's aunt and my aunt had been friends as children, in fact, the families had moved out of London during the Blitz to the same town outside London called Amersham, and we did find a photograph of my mother and her brother and sister with Dorrit's father and his sister dressed up for Purim in the early 1940s, all in the same photograph together. So, one other time that we didn't meet, there was a time that Dorrit was friendly with somebody in her school who, it turned out, carried a flame for me. I can't imagine why. I was a very dorky kid with Woody Allen glasses. But apparently Dorrit would, on a regular basis, see a photograph of me brought out at recess or at lunchtime, and hear about this guy, Richard Dale, who she had never met. But when I had graduated from college and Dorrit had too, we were both invited to a Shabbaton for young Jewish leaders in the London Jewish community. It was called Sustaining Our Visions. And another little side note here, it was organized by one Nigel Savage, who some of you know. And I was talking to my friend at whose house it was going to be, a woman called Dawn, and I said, so Dawn, who's going to be at the weekend? And she listed some names of people who I knew, and she said, and she was going through the list, she said, oh, and Dorrit Harvard will be here. I said, oh, who's Dorrit Harvard? She said, oh, don't you know Dorrit? I said, no. Haven't you heard of Dorrit? No. She said, oh, you'll like Dorrit.
I really want a British accent so badly. It's like, even if you're from England, there's still something Harvard about it, you know? It's like Boston, Harvard, okay. I didn't really want to go to Harvard anyway. It was okay. I didn't even apply. Okay, so do you have a song for us?
I can think of only 2 songs that people might get from only 2 notes. This is one of them. That's right. Wow.
Everybody! I don't know all the words. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. I'll sing. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why, oh, why can't I? I know. Me or you?
What's wrong with
both? I'm out of mine. Okay. I'm out of my wine, by the way. It's okay. That was beautiful. I hate that movie, though, I have to say. No, it's okay. Wait, what is it? I wanted to go home. I just wanted to go home. It's Wizard of Oz, isn't it? It bugged me. It bugged me. I was a very homesick kid. I just wanted to go home. Okay.